What's up guys, welcome to Grow in Code. Today I'm going to be going through how to create a crypto price tracker which tracks the real-time prices of the top cryptocurrencies. Alright, so to get started I've already got a couple components that I've pre-written. I've got the card component which takes a couple props, the content component, then the header which doesn't really do much at all. So I'm going to go ahead and run the development server. I also did set up some CSS because I didn't want to really waste the time with it. We're going to go over here and I'm going to go ahead and create some React state for the cards. So I'm just going to call it cards and then set cards. And I know you can, when you import React, you can also import the use state, so you don't have to specify react.useState. But honestly, I just do it. So I feel like the readability, at least for me, is a lot better. So I'm gonna go ahead and make the components. The components are, I'm just gonna call them, I guess, card components. And it's going to equal the cards. We're going to map the cards array. I do want to actually set this to an empty array so we'll get some errors there. Alright. Let's go do an arrow function here. Pass in the card here. And this is where we're going to render our card components here. So we're going to render them. Or not render them, but return them. So I'm gonna leave all the options out for now, where I'm passing all the props to the card component, but we'll get to that after I call to the API. So we're gonna go ahead and stick this here. So the API we're gonna use, let me just grab it from my other monitor real quick. The API we're gonna use is it's called CoinCap. They have a free API. You don't even need a API key to get it to work. So we're going to call this API one time after the component has mounted. So we're just going to use the React use effect little hook, and we're going to set it to an empty array. When you do this, it only calls it one time after. So not every time the component has updated, it's going to call it this. It's only going to call it when it's been mounted. Alright, so in here, I am going to specify a asynchronous function. I'm going to call it get crypto data. And I actually forgot to put the little function keyword there. And I'm also going to call it right above it, because why not? You could call it below, but you know, functions like this get hoisted anyways. Alright, so I'm just going to call it fetch data. This is where we're going to get the data from the API from. Equals await, so we're going to await the fetch command. And I'm going to go ahead and paste in the API. This API, remember, it's free to use. There is a cap on it, but it's a pretty reasonable cap per day. Or it's not even per day, it's like per second, the amount of requests you can make. So you know, I'll never reach that. This isn't going to be a massive app. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and fetch it. I believe the default settings with fetch should be fine. We call this crypto data. Oh, don't even know how to spell data correctly. Equals await fetch data.json. Alright, so I'm going to see what we're actually getting back from the API in the crypto data object. So I'm going to go ahead and check this out, see what we got here. It's an array of 100 objects, the top 100. Cool. And there's quite a few options that we're going to be able to use here. Really cool. Now there is 100 here. Now 100 seems like a little much for me, so I'm going to do 50. 50 seems good. I'm going to cap it off at 50 components. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a for loop. So let I equals 0, and we'll just, well, I is less than 50, and we're going to increment I every time. Now, it looks like that you get an object, and in the object you've got two properties. You've got data and timestamp. So the data is where you got the array of values. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an array here. I'm just call it temp cards, empty array. And for every iteration of this for loop, I'm going to push, so temp cards dot push. I'm going to push one of the card objects. So it would be, crypto data.data I. So we've got the card object there, push them all, and then we are going to set cards equal to temp cards. And that should generate for us, I believe, yeah, there we go. We've now got 50 of these little modules, which is kind of cool. Oh, we're supposed to be passing a key prop, but we'll go ahead and get to that in a sec. So, my card module, it's using a prop called rank, which is like the rank of the crypto. So first, it's usually Bitcoin, second Ethereum, and downwards all the way to 50. And then I'm going to use that for our unique ID. And let me see. The rank will also be here. For some reason, I've got it doing +1. I may have just been passing the index to here. I'm not sure. Now the image is something we're going to have to do in a sec. And the title is just the name. And then you've got the price. All right. So let me actually, I'm actually going to console log I believe I did pass I passed what I was supposed to, I believe. Let me just make sure that I'm getting the data that I'm believing I'm getting. Yes, we are getting a lot of stuff. Alright, so the name is just Flow. Or, no, man, I'm confusing myself. The name is literally just called name, so we're going to set the name prop to literally equal just card.name. I'm going to set the key. Going to equal rank. Woo. Oh, we got some errors now? Let's see. Rank is not defined. Oh, that's because I'm dumb. I forgot to put the little card specifier there. So as you can see, we're getting the names already. Let me put the rank in there. Now, for some reason, when I had done the rank last time I tested it out, it wasn't working the way I had thought, so it just passed the index. But I'm gonna see if it now is working how it should be. For some reason, it's starting at 11. This is actually really confusing. I need to figure out what is going on here. Why is there a literal 1? Oh. I bet I know what it is. I bet it's being treated as a string, and so when I'm attempting to add this 1 to it, it's actually appending it to the end of the string. Yeah, I was right. Alright, see, this looks right. Alright. I'm gonna go ahead and go back to our content thing. I'm gonna leave this here just because. Alright, so I've got that. What about the price? Alright, so my little price prop. I believe it was price USD. That the, oh shoot, what did I do? Oh, my bad. I'm just gonna go ahead and pass it like this, so I don't get an error. Alright, I believe the price USD. And just to simplify it, make it simple for this tutorial, I'm just going to take card dot price USD. Was it alright, they just capitalized the U. Alright, I'm gonna parse it as an integer because actually as a float, because as you can see the rank was being parsed as was being passed as a string, so we can't really use a string when we're using, let's see, to fixed, and I'm gonna set it to 2 decimal points like a typical, there we go, like a typical USD currency. Alright, now the image. Here we go, I've got a bit of code over here that I used for the image. So I'm gonna go ahead and set the image equal to, oops, my bad, for all the backticks. Alright, so symbol is right here. You got like the little identifier basically for that cryptocurrency. So we're gonna put it here. We're gonna use this link right here, and then in the link, the icons, we're gonna turn the symbol lowercase 2x PNG so that it's a larger size, and that should get us the stuff we are wanting. Alright, so it looks fine. It looks fine. The only problem we have now is it's not updating. So it's actually a pretty simple fix. I am going to create a new state real quick. I'm going to call it is fetching, and set is fetching. Alright, and the initial, it's going to be a state. The initial value is going to be false. Now what we're going to do is right before we start fetching the assets from the API, we're going to set this to true. And then once it's finished, we're going to set it to false so that we don't kind of trigger this and kind of back up a lot of requests to the API while it's still calling one. Say if we have like a slow network or the API is just really slow at the moment, we don't want to back it up with a lot more requests. So what we're going to do is we're going to set is fetching to true at this point, and then as soon as we've received the data, we're going to set it to false. Also, after this little thing right here, I'm going to set an interval, and just going to create a little anonymous arrow function in here. I'm going to set it to once every second, and in it I am going to do if is fetching is false, then I'm going to call the get crypto data function. So every second we're going to test whether or not we're already making an API call. If we're not, we're going to make a new one and update the data. So we can wait here and it may take a second, but Bitcoin seems to change quite a bit. So I'm going to wait a second until it changes to validate that everything's working properly. Yes, as you can see, it changed. It was at like 27 or something, and now it's at .30. So that's a pretty simple way to use the API. There are a couple other properties that they give you in the API call, like the change in the last 24 hours, and you can use that that value to kind of calculate whether or not these have went up, in the past 24 hours, and highlight or change the color of the text based on that. Also, you can kind of keep track of, say, if you save the value of the previous price of a certain crypto, and then it updates to a new price. That price has either gone up or down. You can kind of alert the user that just went up or down by maybe simply highlighting red for a second if it's going down, highlighting green for a second if it's going up. But either way, that is beyond the scope of this tutorial, and the tutorial is basically finished. There's not really much else to do. It's pretty simple and straightforward to use, and I would definitely try to play around with this if you want to learn an API, even if you're not really that invested in crypto, like just to learn how an API call would work from React, I would definitely try this out. So thank you for watching the video, and make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more. Put in the comments if you want to see a tutorial on something specific. Peace out.